Okay, so welcome to the book I read. I'm Josette Diaz, and I'm a self-awareness coach for women in midlife, and I am honored to be interviewing two of my co-authors for the book I read, Deborah Edwards and Aldwyn Altuney. Did I pronounce that correct?
Alternate. Yes, very
Altuney.
close. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And we are so excited to have this conversation with you because we're going to share some of our insights as to why we started writing in our chapters for the book I read. So let's get going on this. I want to introduce to you these two beautiful women. So I'm going to start with Deborah Edwards. And Deborah is the founder of Grateful Om, where she champions personal and organizational wellness through her extensive offerings in self care, coaching, mindfulness, and contemplative practices, holding certifications from esteemed institutions like the Chopra Center, the Center for Self-Sustaining Leadership, and the Natura Institute. She has tailored her services to cater specifically to the unique wellness needs of her clients, offering everything from individual coaching sessions to group programs. So it's so nice to have you here with us, Deborah. And let me also introduce our beautiful Aldwyn Altuney. I'm so sorry for mispronouncing it. I know
It's okay. Alternate. Like
Altuney. Excuse
alternate.
me.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And Aldwyn is a TV host, speaker, photojournalist, and author with 40 years of media experience in her PR company, Double A Expose. Is that a good way to say it?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Excellent.
Expose media, excuse me, guarantees results. So let's say that one more time so it sounds good. Um, Aldwyn has 40 years of media experience with her PR company, Double A Expose Media, guaranteeing results. She is passionate about inspiring more good news in the mass media to decrease depression and suicide rates and lift people's spirits. So you're all in for a big treat here. And I'm really excited to have this conversation with my fellow co-authors. So I'd like to start off by asking you both, and whoever would like to go first, um, please jump right in. But I'd like to know what inspired you to join this collaboration book. What was it about the book I read that you felt called to share your story?
Sure, I'll go first then. Yeah, well, I heard about it actually from Jacqueline Price. She told me about Action Takers Publishing, and the book that they had going at the time was the book I read. And then when I saw that, I thought, well, that's a really great angle because there's so much wisdom in books, and they say, great leaders are readers, and it really had me think, okay, what's a book I could write about? And I ended up writing about Think and Grow Rich, which is the book that is created more millionaires than any other book. Very, very interesting 13 principles in Think and Grow Rich. So really, I love the power of compilation books. I'm in about 20 compilation books, and I love the fact that all the authors in there promote their best stuff. They've got, so you can go to any chapter and you can just pick up some gems. So I love that, and I love the exponential networking power of compilation books. I love what I saw about Action Takers Publishing online. They look very professional, they look very friendly, and I thought, yeah, this is a great group that I'd like to be involved in.
Oh, I love that. That is really inspiring. Thank you so much. And Deborah, how about yourself?
Well, I have a podcast called the Shiro Cafe that I co-host with a friend of mine. And my friend invited Linda Sunshine to be a guest on our podcast. And she was talking about what she does and her story and the book I read. And when she was talking about that, I was like, hey, I want to get in on that. That is just a wonderful way to, I have all my life been a reader and I've been inspired by books. And it's a wonderful way. I love writing. I'm an author. And when I saw this book, I thought, what a wonderful way to contribute to raising the vibration level of the planet by inspiring people through these stories. And each one of us has a different story, and each one of us can touch someone differently, right? We resonate a lot with the stories that we hear. And by coming together, what a wonderful project. And the way it was run and everything was just so great. And again, this is my first one that I've done. And I am just so grateful to have the opportunity to share and to share with other authors.
Mm, I love that. So tell me, how did you decide what book it was? Was it easy for you both to find a book that you knew really inspired you? Because we can be inspired by so many things, so many different things can transform us. So how did you narrow it down, and what was it that brought you to the book that inspired your chapter?
Well, I'm talking, but for
Yeah.
me, it was the one that most recently sparked the biggest transformation for myself in my life. So if there were so many that I read that were transformative for me, that were healing, but this is the one that most recently said, wow, okay, this book really actually saved my life.
Mm,
So it was a big transformation for me. And the book that I read was called Perfect Health by Deepak Chopra. And there was a lot that brought me to reading that book before that, but I was really suffering. And
mm,
then I connected with Deepak Chopra and connected with that book, and that is the beginning of opening my life. So it was an easy choice for me because, my passion is ending suffering. And for someone to hear that story and to be able to maybe apply it to themselves and really go forward in their life would be just awesome for me. So
yeah.
that's how I chose.
Ah, great. Thank you. I love that. I think that sometimes, we get to certain crescendos in our lives, and, we are exposed to some kind of new information that really does make that big impact. So it's nice to have someone tell that story and to reflect on it. So I love that you were inspired in that way. Obviously, it was a big deal, right? It was a big moment in your life.
Yes,
Yeah.
I turned I retired and decided I want to follow a totally different path than what I was following,
Mhm.
because, in the past I was following the path not of my heart, but what all of the people around me chose my path.
Yeah.
And at that point I found an opportunity to identify, connect, and follow my true
Mhm.
path. And I've been so much happier, and life has been so much more wonderful since then.
So glad you found the book. And Aldwyn, what about yourself? What was it that, inspired you to pick the book you chose?
Well, I immediately thought Think and Grow Rich. It's a book that I've had for 20 years. I've read it and looked at it over the years multiple times. It's the kind of book that you can read multiple times and keep picking up new things in it. And the 13 principles in the book from all those years ago, it was written in 1937 by Napoleon Hill.
Mhm.
And it was a summary of 500 successful people. And, our lives really are too short to sort of learn everything firsthand. So if we can learn from other people's journey, then it's a great way to fast track your success. And I love the principles. Even to this day, they are so relevant. So things like desire, faith, auto-suggestion, specialized knowledge, imagination, organized planning, decision, persistence, power of the mastermind. How many masterminds do we see nowadays? The mystery of sex transmutation, that's an interesting one. The subconscious mind, the brain, and the sixth sense, and trusting our intuition. There is so much in there. And as I went back through it and looked at all the ways that each of these principles have played out in my life,
Mhm.
I thought this is a great one that people will not get sick of, because it's ageless. It's really something that's a classic book. And interesting, since then, I didn't realize when I wrote the chapter, but since then I started to look into the story of Napoleon Hill, of his life story. And he was, he married 5 times, had 4+ children, all sorts of scandals and things that happened around his life. And, like he
Interesting.
was he was wanted for fraud and all sorts of things. Like it was really interesting. His life story is fascinating from what I see online since writing the chapter. And I think to myself, well, obviously he's a man who experienced life fully. And it's interesting that he came to write this book with such wisdom in it, and yet he was such a questionable character in his day. And if you look up the history, you'll be quite surprised what you find about Napoleon Hill. Very interesting.
That's a really fascinating, because I'm aware of the book. I did not know that about him, though, personally. So I love that you picked this book, because I think you hit it right on the head. It's one of those books that you can return to over and over, and you'll learn more and more and more, and you hear it differently, right? Because you're not the same person you were when you read it, however long ago it was that you read it last. So I love that. And what were some of the biggest takeaways, or what would you say out of that book that has influenced you the most in the way that you conduct your life? I'm
Yeah,
asking you a very large question, I know.
yeah, great question. Well, there's a few things in there, really. I think faith is a really big one for me, because there's been many periods in my life where I've had a few near-death experiences. For example, I've had depression. I've had 4 friends take their own lives by the age of 45. I've been through some really dark periods. I'm working in the media for many years. It can be a really stressful environment. I worked as a journalist in TV, radio, and print media for over 20 years. I had my own business for 20 years, and it's a real go, 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 go industry. And so I've had burnout many times. I've had some really tough times, and having faith, has been huge. My dad always said, God has a plan for you. And, as I wrote my chapter with each of these principles, I looked at how has this influenced me? So that's been a huge one, and a huge one to this day, having faith and actually having that quiet time to center myself, because I've found often in high adrenaline where it's go, 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 often we're in our mind rather than coming from the heart or the soul and being, whatever your religious beliefs are. I was brought up Christian, but whatever your religious beliefs, I believe in soul, spirit, universal energy, whatever you want to call it. I think we're all part of the whole, and the whole is part of us, and so tapping into that and actually getting how powerful we are as spiritual beings having a human experience. I think that's been a huge one. And then also the sixth sense. I love the sixth sense as well, because as I've got older in life, and I just turned 50 this year, I feel like I'm just getting started. The sixth sense has been huge. Trusting your intuition has been a massive one, or trusting my intuition, and also the mastermind. I'm in several masterminds, and I love the power of hanging out with people who are like-minded and who are have expanded consciousness, as opposed to the very stuck places that a lot of people find themselves in. Like I look outside often, and it's like The Walking Dead. A lot of people are not passionate about their lives. They're not living lives they love. And it really breaks my heart, because I think, you have so much potential. I just want to go up to people and shake people sometimes and just say, hey, anything is possible for you. Yet for a long time, we've been conditioned through the media, through the education system, to live small lives and to not, have major impact. But the fact is that everything we do impacts people in some way, whether it's on a smaller scale with our family or our community, or, everything impacts people, whether you realize it or not. So, it's all about, how do you want to live your life?
Yeah.
Do you want to live an inspired life where you're not one of the 90% of people who are dying with regrets? That's the stats, right? 90% of people die with regrets, and a third of people die by the age of 65. And most people just, they just don't live lives they love. And so that's really my passion and mission, is to have more of that happen. And of course, Think and Grow Rich is a great one with fantastic principles that help people do that.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a great answer.
Thank you.
It brings to mind, because both of you have very inspiring stories. And I'd like to know, and I'm going to start with you, Deborah, as far as gratitude. How has gratitude impacted your life? Because I believe that both the books that you are referring to in your chapters touch on some of these elements around gratitude. And what would you say is the biggest impact that was reflective for you from what you read around gratitude?
Well, first thing I want to point out is the name of my company is Grateful Om. So that is really highly focused on gratitude. One of the things that the Perfect Health book showed me is that we create our own lives. We are the captains of our own ship. We are the ones that choose how our lives are going to look. And part of that is taking care of your mind, your body, and your spirit. And they're all connected, right? And so when we're living a life of gratitude, I have practices, and some that are taught in the book. I have practices that encourage my gratitude every day. Because when you're in gratitude, when you're experiencing gratitude, you can't experience depression. You can't experience fear. You can't experience sadness. So if you're creating that attitude of gratitude, I call it, and have that around you, then your life automatically becomes better, bigger, more focused. You see through the filter of gratitude by even any situation. I call I even say in one thing that I do every week is I do Gratitude Friday, where we just talk about the things that we're grateful for. But I even have gratitude for being able to be grateful, because that colors my life, right? When I look at a situation, I find the good in it instead of looking at maybe what the negative is. And that changes how my body receives anything that happens. That changes how my mind sees everything that happens to me. So that Perfect Health book was a beautiful way to bring me to that gratitude, but it also allowed me to understand how the scientific connection of our mind and body, and how having gratitude affects the cells in your body that allows you to heal, that allows you to function fully, to be in a state that is that supports you more day to day. So gratitude to me is really big. I have plates that I just had a guest over it. They have plates that say grateful. It is all I am every day, all day. I love it.
Love that. Well, it helps you keep your state of being in a place of positivity or whatever it is that you're focused on. I love
Absolutely.
that. And Aldwyn, how do you see gratitude playing the part in the chapter that you wrote about?
Thank you. Well, I love gratitude as well. I love what Deborah said there. Gratitude has been massive in my life. Having had depression myself, I've realized that one of the best and quickest ways to pull myself out of any dark places I've been in is to get into gratitude. And it could be the smallest things. And, one thing I do here is I love swimming in the ocean. And every time I go under a wave, I think of things I'm grateful for every time I go under the wave. So it's become a real practice when I get into the ocean. And then the other thing is I started a Good News Day on the 8th of the 8th, 2018, after my fourth friend suicided. And that was a day that, I thought one day a year, let's all, share some good news, share something we're grateful for. And then I ramped that up during COVID. So then in June 2020, I started a global good news challenge, which is a practice every single month where we share gratitude and we share good news. 3 things we're grateful for and good news. And it's a free challenge people anywhere in the world can do. And it's free marketing for them as well. So now every month since June 2020, I speak out gratitude. Now, it's one thing to think about things you're grateful for or to write it down. However, when you speak it out, it just goes next level. And it's something that I invite people to actually participate in, to do the Global Good News Challenge and to publicly declare your gratitudes, because what happens is the ripple effect of that will be huge as people see that. And you can't help but feel grateful when you hear about people being grateful, is what I find. It's like, it really is like a ripple effect. Like you get excited for people who are grateful, and what happens is you feel better. The more grateful that you get more and more grateful. So I find often when I'm doing my Good News Challenge, like the format is you share your name, what you do, 3 things you're grateful for, and a piece of good news in each challenge video. And for June now, we're doing a six-day challenge, 6 days in a row of doing that for June because the 6th month. And so what I often find is I don't just share 3 things I'm grateful for. I tend to go on and I go, I'm grateful for my hair. I'm grateful for my health and for living on the Gold Coast and for, all the things, for the computer, for people I meet, for, it just goes on. It just becomes a beautiful snowball of gratitude and love. And of course, for anyone who knows Dr. Hawkins' scale of consciousness, when you're in gratitude, you're actually vibrating above love. So love is at 528 hertz and gratitude is actually at 540, like joy and gratitude at 540 hertz. So it's actually one of the most expanded vibrations that you will feel, and you'll attract greater opportunities to yourself. So really tying in with the book, I would say gratitude would be at the heart of, it's at the heart of faith, it's at the heart of desire. I'd say out of the 13 principles, gratitude will be at the heart of it. Imagination, organized planning, all of that. I mean, really to put anything into great practice, I think you need to have a level of gratitude because you're giving some love and some positive energy to anything you're doing. So I think it's a foundational principle that is something that can be practiced more so because we've been conditioned to live in drama. We're not conditioned to be grateful in general. Although in America you have Thanksgiving, which I love. I love the whole concept. I love that concept, right? And something like just even when you're with your food, when you're about to eat your meal, to just have a moment and be thankful for everyone who is responsible for your food from the seed up. That's a great gratitude practice to do, and actually consider not just where you've got your food from, but actually everyone responsible for having that food in front of you is a great practice too.
And one of the things that I do is for my clients, I really invite them to every morning, and this is a practice that I do. Every morning before my feet hit the floor, I name 3 things that I'm grateful for. And, it could be that I woke up or that I'm really looking forward to that breakfast that I'm going to have, or I'm looking forward to meeting a friend for the day. And then at the end of the day, when you lay down, I invite them to recapitulate and say, I am really grateful that today, that flower that I planted 6 months ago bloomed today. So it puts you in the habit of every day, every day, every day. And then also you tend to look for things so that when you go to bed, you're going to have something to say that you're grateful for. So you're just actively searching through the day when you know that that's the practice that you're going to be following. And it helps when you're ready to go to bed as part of your, night routine, going to sleep. It helps to end your day with that beautiful thought of everything that happened. It actually helps with your sleep practice too.
Right. It also the tone, doesn't it? It sets the tone for your next day and
Absolutely.
how your life is being lived. Yeah. Sorry, Aldwyn.
Oh, yeah, I just want to add, I love that, Deborah. And the other thing I do that might help people too, if you have a team, a great thing to do, we actually do a daily gratitude check-in. So when we start our day with the team, we actually say, good morning. What are 3 things we're grateful for? And we say 3 things we do. The first thing is something large, like it could be, I'm grateful for the sun. The next thing is something smaller, like I'm grateful for my pets. And then the third thing is something we're grateful for about ourselves. So grateful for my health, or grateful.
Nice.
So that's a nice way to sort of segment it too, because often we don't thank ourselves enough, so that's something to give ourselves a bit of self-love every day as well.
Yeah. I love that. Beautiful.
It's really true. And I love that you both touch on how gratitude really can shift. You said it first, Deborah, around your state, and Aldwyn, using gratitude to ward off depression can really assist you. And Deborah, you mentioned it as well. So I think that the more that people understand how gratitude is one of the most powerful tools that they can use to shift their lives, is such an important thing for all of us to be talking about. And you both touch on these powerful books that transformed your life that talk about gratitude. And Deborah, you have a whole business dedicated to being grateful, and it's just beautiful. The things that both of you are doing are so powerful in this world, and I love that your chapters are reflecting that. Before we end, I'd like to know, what both of you feel is the most important message that you wanted to get across in the chapter that you wrote in the book I read. Aldwyn, would you like to start off?
Yes, well, Think and Grow Rich to me is not just Think and Grow Rich with money, it's Think and Grow Rich in all areas of life. So really the main message I want to get across is that anything is possible for you. And with the right resources, with the right people around you, with the right mindset, with faith, that anything is possible and that you are here for a reason, as my dad said. God has a plan for you. And I do believe that for us to have a fantastic, fulfilled life, I think it's important that we tune in and we find our purpose and our passion, and we do as much of that as possible. In fact, Bob Proctor was asked on it. There's a YouTube video with Bob Proctor saying, "How do you find your passion or your purpose? How do you how do you know what your purpose is?" And he said, "Just do what you love every single day. Do as much as you can of what you love." And really, that's at the heart of the message as well. Do what you love and live the best life you possibly can.
Oh, thank you so much. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm so excited that this book is coming out. Deborah, share us with us what you would want. What's the biggest message that you're bringing out with your
I
chapter?
think what the biggest thing is that I want to share with people, and I want every person to understand, is that you choose. You get to choose what your life looks like. You have the power. You have what you need to live the life that you want. And it's never, ever too late. We think that, okay, I've gone down this road. I can't change the path that I'm on. I can't change all of the thoughts that I've had about my being, about my person, about my existence. You have the power to change that. You have the power to get everything that you want in life. All the intentions that we have. The only thing a lot of times is missing is for us to understand that we have the ability to get these things and then to follow that up with action. So I think that there are too many of us walking around being pushed around in different directions in this life. And I want people to understand and to just connect to their joy and know that you have the power to lead yourself to living your best life.
Oh, so good. I feel so blessed to have both of you on at the same time. This was just such a perfect pairing, and it just happened naturally and organically. And I find that to be the most exciting thing in life sometimes. So I want to thank both of you for coming on and talking and sharing with me your stories. And we're going to make sure that your information is put in the comments here so that anyone can follow you, reach out to you, find you. And I'm so excited for our book to be coming out. The book I read comes out on June 25th. And I want to thank both of you for coming and having this conversation with me.
Thank you, Josette. I am grateful.
Thank you so much.
And so nice to meet you, Aldwyn.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you. I think it's been wonderful, absolutely divine. And thank you. Thank you for both of you for what you bring to the world. Very, very grateful. Thank you.
Thank
Yes,
you.
thank
Thank you,
you.
ladies.